Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Game Changer. I'm Maryam Zia. In today's program, we will be talking about the key insights that were shared in the recent presser by DG Ispr Lieutenant General Ahmad Sharif, in which, of course, he talked about a number of issues regarding Pakistan's internal and external security situation and threats, and what is the point of view of course, Pakistan military on this. But one of the key aspects was regarding the disinformation campaign that is being launched against Pakistan Army. And of course, he termed it as digital terrorism to describe how modern tools are being used to, of course, disseminate such campaigns. Another focal point of this recent presser was i-istekam, in which, of course, he alluded to how a number of campaigns are launched to politicize this campaign, and of course he reiterated the point that was of course previously made by Pakistani government as well, that this is a holistic initiative and this is not going to be causing any displacement of course of the population in those areas. And of course when we talk about this initiative, this is integrated counter-terrorism campaign. We will be talking about this aspect as well. And of course, he also highlighted the military's resolve with over 22,000 intelligence-based operations that were conducted this year alone. Of course, he also talked about the narratives that are aimed at destabilizing the national action plan as well. We will be talking about all these aspects in today's program and what lies ahead regarding these developments for Pakistan's security and its implementation, and of course what it means for Pakistan and for the neighboring countries and region at large as well. To discuss this and more, we're joined in the studios by Brigadier Retired Masood who is analyst. Welcome to the program. We are also joined online by Syed Ali, who is analyst. Welcome to the program. We are joined by Brigadier Retired Nadir, who is analyst. Welcome to the program. Of course, Brigadier Masood, let me start with you. When we talk about this recent presser by Lieutenant General Ahmad Sharif, let's start by, of course, this aspect of disinformation, and of course, when he talked about digital terrorism at length. What do you make of this terminology, and what are the threats when we look at large at this crucial point in time, especially to Pakistan military?
Thank you, Maryam. When we talk of digital terrorism, it means basically the use of social media, and by basically using the computers and mobiles to targeting military, its leadership. When we differentiate the terrorists, they are also targeting military and its leadership. The digital terrorism, or those involved in it, they are also targeting military and its leadership. They share the same objective of targeting military. Second important thing is that they, as I said, they share a common objective, but at the same time they are trying to sow discord between the masses and the army, and at the same time they are also trying to create a division within the ranks and file, and create a situation of anxiety, a situation of a panic and a disappointment across the Pakistan by peddling fake news, disinformation and propaganda. And mostly those living abroad and they are doing it. This include the YouTubers, vloggers, some so-called pseudo-intellectuals. They are also involved in peddling these fake news and targeting military. So that is digital terrorism, when you are trying to divide between the division between the armed forces and the masses. And the DG Ispr also highlighted the importance of regulation, rules and regulations to regulate these things, and most importantly going for some punishment. We recently saw in Punjab, they unanimously passed a resolution for some action to be taken in case of defamation. So that is one step in this case. But overall, it is basically the judiciary of the country which has to take these decisions in the longer run.
Of course. And let me take the same point to Syed Mohammad Ali. What's your take on this, and what do you make of this recent press, especially starting from the very important point of digital terrorism, and how Lieutenant General Ahmad Sharif alluded to that how in the recent times there has been an increase in the fake news and propaganda against Pakistan Army?
Maryam, I think there are two aspects that I'll add to this discussion. First off, that the role of media and social media, and the second is that of the constitutional right of expression or freedom of expression. I think I'll share with you that it is very important for the people to know that Pakistan's constitution, Article 18, allows freedom of expression not in an unconditional manner, but it also comprehensively identifies the moral, ethical, legal responsibilities towards society, towards culture, towards foreign policy, towards national security, towards Islamic ideology, as a responsibility of all the citizens of Pakistan, whether they're civilians, military, private individuals, whoever believes and follows Pakistan's constitution, as a responsibility towards the state. So anybody who tries to use this constitutional freedom of expression to attack Pakistani state in general and military and armed forces in particular are obviously harming Pakistan's national security. That's the second aspect. The third aspect is that in the entire developed world, you see all technologies, particularly that related to information security, information technology, an elaborate legal constitutional mechanism has been evolved to ensure that this freedom of expression is used lawfully, responsibly, and carefully in all these countries. Whether you talk about the US, you talk about UK, France, China, even India as well. It is not possible that you can use the freedom of expression on any platform, particularly social media, to harm the social contract, to create and sow dissent and doubts in the public, and also discourage foreign investors in investing in the country. So I think it's about time Pakistan should also consider long overdue steps in order
Right.
to manage
Right.
lawfully and constitutionally information domain in a careful manner, so that the expression is used for information, for intellectual and academic activities, but not to mislead and misinform the people or to weaken the national security of Pakistan.
Right, but Mr. Ali, at the same time, don't you think this is going to be a very delicate balance that the government has to maintain when we talk about freedom of expression as well as implementing such laws? So, when we talk about lessons learned, like you alluded to, different models like China model is available, and other countries, developed world, and even our neighboring countries have implemented those laws. What do you make of the laws at this point in time that we have available, and what needs to be done to make it possible?
Okay, there are two aspects to your question. One is the legal, judicial aspect. The other is the administrative aspect. Like Pakistani military, you are aware, is a very professional institution, and in the last 76 years, it has evolved based on its precious experiences. Like in the last 22, 23 years of war on terror, its doctrine, its training methodology, its strategy, its training, its tactics, all these things have undergone significant and timely changes, which makes this Pakistani military a very professional institution. But unfortunately, similar approach of reform and improvement is missing in some of the other institutions, particularly judiciary. Let me remind you that the first judicial commission, which was created 70 years ago, demanded and recommended that Pakistani judiciary needs to improve and it needs to reform itself so that it recovers from the colonial legacy and meets the challenges of a modern world. And I think in 1968, another Judicial Commission was formed, which was headed by former senior judges, which themselves,
Right.
based on their own experience, recommended that the judiciary needs to improve its legal process. The judges need to be trained. There should be a witness protection program, and so on and so forth.
Right,
So
right.
that
But
is the
but
legal
but but let's
aspect.
let's
But
stick
let
to
me
the
quickly.
point of misinformation, and of course we have some laws available. Let's talk about implementation of those laws, and if some changes are required in those.
That's what I'm saying, that there are two aspects. One is the legal aspect, and the other is the technological and administrative aspect. What I'm saying, madam, is that the legal aspect also needs to be updated. Not only the
Evolved, of
laws need
course.
to be
Right.
updated, but the institution which are expected to interpret and implement laws must also reform themselves so that they can meet the challenges of 21st century information warfare. So that is, they need to
Right.
be equipped, they need to be trained, they need to be reformed so that these challenges, that is the legal and administrative aspect. The second aspect is the technological aspect and administrative aspect, that the implementation mechanism, like in electronic media, you have Pakistan Electronic Media Regulatory Authority. It does not
Right.
deprive media of freedom, but makes all electronic media responsible. So similarly, a similar institution is required for managing responsibly, constitutionally, and lawfully the cyber domain.
Right, right, of course, that is very important, and that is what he alluded to as well in his recent presser. But Brigadier Nadir, when we talk about this recent presser and the rise in terrorism in the past few months, at the same time as this presser tells us that there has been over 22,000 intelligence-based operations conducted in this year alone. What are the challenges, do you think, that the security establishment or other security institutions are facing at this point in time, and what needs to be done to, of course, keep this momentum?
The first challenge is that the Pakistan nation needs to understand that an undeclared war is being waged against Pakistan. A modern war, this is the part of evolution of war, which includes anarchists, which includes terrorists, which includes digital terrorists, and of course, it includes India, which is the actual mastermind behind all this, which is anti-Pakistan from day one. That is the first problem, that it is not being taken as a war in Pakistan. All the other countries react to their national security threats in another manner. In Pakistan, it's in a cavalier manner or nonchalant manner, or discussions. Discussions have been going on from 2014, as was said yesterday, National Action Plan and all. What is happening, and why? You just asked why it has surged, this terrorism. Well, there is a complete, clear nexus between Delhi elements, anti-Pakistan elements in Kabul, and disgruntled elements within Pakistan, including some criminal mafia, as was highlighted in the DG Ispr press conference also. I will dwell on the main issue. The main issue is that the epicenter of all this that is happening in Pakistan is not in Pakistan or in Kabul. It is actually in Delhi. The synchronization, coordination of this anti-Pakistan campaign. This anti-terrorism you've asked about, or the DG's talked, ISPR talked about so many operations. It is happening because somebody is supporting them. How can these terrorists, that you're calling them, wage such a relentless campaign against the seventh largest seventh largest military power in the world, with a nation of 240 million people? It is geopolitical terrorism, which means that there is a geopolitical agenda and there is a state actor behind these non-state actors, militant terrorists attacking Pakistan. That's the first thing which has to be brought out to the Pakistani people. I mean, all people may be aware of it, but not the real linkages, and then we will come to what can we do about it and what we have to do about it. And
Right.
for the information, the Afghan government, or part of the Afghan government, I don't blame all of them, because there are factions in Kabul. We have to understand that. There's an anti-Pakistan faction and there are others who are not anti-Pakistan also. They have issued a map of Afghanistan, greater Afghanistan, which includes Baluchistan and KPK. And India has been claiming, as you know, Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, and now they're even talking of, taking over Sindh and Punjab and all that. I mean, that's the geopolitical stuff. One has to go over onto the Indian media and Indian social media to understand who's behind it. This is the first thing. So we have to look at it from the geopolitical angle. All the talk that was done or is being done, and the discussion in Pakistan, entire discussion in Pakistan is inward. That is internal. Of course, we have to deal with the internal matters on all the security matters. Terrorism can only be fought on both sides of the border. I've said that number of times before. You can't fight terrorism only if you keep fighting them in Pakistan. They are bleeding you. Our young officers and soldiers are dying, fighting for Pakistan. Shahadats. On a continuous manner. And who is fighting them? How many weapons are there? Well, there were weapons since Russia, the British times, in Afghanistan, then the Russians left them, and now the Americans have left them. And there is big money. The other thing India is using is its newfound wealth. And as the DG also talked about, they are openly saying it. You hear the top Indian leadership, they are openly talking about it. So unless you bring the Indian side into it, the whole thing, you will not be able to understand what is the problem and how are we going to deal with it. That is the second answer.
Right, Brigadier Nadir, that is important point, but let me take this question to Brigadier Masood. What's your take on this, especially when we talk about, of course, Operation i-istekam? What are the regional implications of Operation i-istekam? Because it deals with holistic counter-terrorism strategies, especially when we talk about Afghanistan.
Let me first of all explain this concept of i-istekam, which has been made disputed by some of the political parties. So basically, i-istekam, that is the resolve for the stability of the country, and basically it is the continuity of the already ongoing intelligence-based operation. That is one. The further operations, basically the previous build-up. So that is the continuity, and the main aim is not to go for a displacement of the public as done in the past when we went for the Zarbazab in 2014. So there will be no full spectrum of operations.
And this is not going to be kinetic operation?
Not at all. It will be continuity of existing one. And secondly, it is basically a renewed commitment to carry out these activities which is already in progress. That is one thing. This is one part. The operation or the intelligence-based operation is one, but there are other factors which are connected with this overall concept of this i-istekam campaign. When we talk of it, that is the socio-economic development of the region. When we talk of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, especially the erstwhile FATA, that is very important. That is part of this i-istekam. Then the capacity building of the police, when we talk of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa police, as he explained by the DG, that there are 537 police CDT personnel available for the entire province, and whereas 93% attacks are in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. And then we have he explained the nexus between the criminal mafia and the terror outfits. So let me give you an example how they are linked, because this money, the money which are got from these means is funded given to the terrorists. First of all, when just an example, that 6 million liters of Iranian oil is smuggled into Pakistan on daily basis, which gives a loss of 227 billion rupees on daily basis. Second, there are 14 million tires they are sold in Pakistan annually, and 65% of them they are smuggled. And then according to Business Council of Pakistan, there is a loss to the Pakistan's economy of 800 billion rupees annually. So this shadow economy, it constitutes 40% of our GDP, and this money is basically then funded and given to the terror outfits. So there is a nexus, and so there is a link. In addition, then there is a requirement of implementing the National Action Plan.
Right.
Initially, there were 20 points, but they have we have decided to
elaborate them.
Elaborate, yeah. But unfortunately, 2014 these were conceived, but we are still lacking to fail to implement majority of points. Just he gave the example of Madaris. There are 51%, 50% Madaris, they have been not recognized by the government. So, we do not know what is actually happening.
And Brigadier Masood, how do you see that this issue, important issue of seminaries or unregistered madaris is, do you think this is going to be addressed under this i-istekam initiative, and what or how the government is going to be proceeding ahead with it?
So, that's why I am telling you ki one is the kinetic, there is intravenous based suppression, and these are the points as I am highlighting.
Non-kinetic.
They are basically non-kinetic points, and then most importantly, the political ownership of the ongoing operations across Pakistan. Army is a institution under the government of Pakistan. If they are given the instructions or orders, they will go and execute those orders. But some has to take this ownership of those operations, and basically
right. I'll talk about that and the role of provincial government, but let's stick to the point of madaris, that how or what needs to be done to get all these seminaries that are important aspect of course important for Pakistan as well.
In the past they have been the basically breeding ground for the terrorism in the past, unfortunately. So 51% we have recognized, rest we need to know who, from where they are getting funds, how their system is running, what is their curriculum, how far there are any chances of infiltration by the terrorist organization. So, its responsibility rests with the provincial governments, whether they are in Punjab, Balochistan or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So, that is a very serious issue that needs to be addressed. That was part of National Action Plan, and 2014, and you see we lost so many years, but no action was taken.
Right, of course. And Mohammad Ali Saab, what do you make of this? Rightly so, Brigadier Saab also alluded to the point of the role and significance of provincial government, and of course we know that DG Ispr in his yesterday's presser also alluded to this point, that in post clearance operation, of course the role of provincial government is significant. So how critical is this aspect to sustainable peace, and what needs to be done?
Maryam, I think there are four aspects which were emphasized by the spokesperson of Pakistan Armed Forces yesterday, which have apparently been neglected. These are four critical aspects of national security, unfortunately, during the last 10 years. Despite hundreds of sacrifices made by Pakistani armed forces, intelligence personnel, and law enforcement agency officials. It is very unfortunate because the last meeting of the Apex Committee was headed by the Prime Minister, and it included chief ministers of all the provinces, including KPK. And the press statement that came out of that showed a common commitment and resolve towards fighting and decisively defeating terrorism. However, unfortunately, when the Chief Minister KPK went back to his province, it seemed that he was looking at some short-term political interests, which seemed that perhaps the party in power in KPK is trying to avoid making a concerted effort, allocating resources, and taking a firm resolve against the counterterrorism effort, which was evidenced in the recent unfortunate Bannu incident as well. It is also evident in the lowest number of anti-terrorist courts being set up in the province which is worst affected as a result of terrorism. And thirdly, almost 584 billion rupees have been allocated by the capital, by the federal government, towards improving and revamping the counter-terrorism department of KPK, but unfortunately their capacity and performance leaves much to be desired. So these indicators prove that unfortunately the commitment that the military leadership, the federal government expects from the KPK government in particular, needs to be improved significantly, so that the province which is worst affected from terrorism needs to return to normalcy, stabilization, and also benefit from the foreign direct investment in the form of relevant projects of CPEC and offer a better quality of life under secure, stable circumstances for its people. And that is something which is expected from a responsible political party rather than trying to avoid responsibility and doing politics on a matter of national security.
Right, of course, the role of provincial governments remains significant when we talk about implementation of either i-istekam initiative or any other initiative for that matter. But moving forward, Brigadier Nadir, let's talk about the cross-border terrorism rather, especially in the context of this audio leak of TTP chief Noor Wali Masood in the recent terrorist attack. What needs to be done by Pakistan, and how can Pakistan effectively counter such attacks from course emanating from Afghanistan especially?
First of all, Pakistan needs a new Afghanistan policy. The previous Afghanistan policy was based on the geopolitical environment of the times, the Soviet occupation, followed by Mujahideen, followed by the United States and the Taliban resisting them. Now the environment has changed totally, the regional environment and the environment within Afghanistan. Part of the Afghan factions are waging a war. It's not terrorism, they're waging a war. They've, as I said before, issued maps, parts of half of Pakistan they're claiming, and the Indians are claiming the other half. So where is Pakistan supposed to go? So you have to take it as a war. If you take it as a war, then you will have the answers. If you take it as a very minor issue, then we'll keep facing it as we are facing since so long. So first thing Pakistan has to do is to chisel a new Afghan policy based on ground realities. Of course, Pakistan should remain friendly with Afghanistan, with Kabul, but within them there are elements which are against Pakistan. So Pakistan has to use all means against them. All elements of national power, Pakistan has to use against those waging war in Pakistan. And not only Pakistan's elements of national power, but friendly states, China, United States, Turkey, even Russia, and others who don't want terrorism in Afghanistan, lots of other countries, and so on, even Iran. So you have to have a global regional consensus, and with their backing, you have to use diplomacy, economic incentives. Plus, the Indians are offering them a lot. That is why they're waging. India is using money, as I said, big money to sponsor these terrorist groups. So you have to find a geo-economic answer for that. For example, my book, Gwadar on the Global Chessboard, the whole concept has been given, which is Central Asia, Afghanistan being linked to Gwadar port. So things can be worked out with Afghanistan on the economic front and on the other front, so that the mainstream Afghans, they are not turned. As you've seen, something happened in Germany against in the Pakistani consulate, sponsored by Indians and Afghans and all that. So the point is, while Pakistan has maintained and always tried to maintain friendly relations with Afghan people, and we have hosted them for 4 decades, but we have to have a very, very clear policy against the terrorists who are operating from Afghanistan. You have the United Nations, you have other global forums, and you have kinetic forces, and you have the means. You have the capability of dealing with them. So you need to go proactively against them in the complete spectrum,
Right.
so that this terrorism ends.
Right, that is very important when we talk about going proactively and needing to deal with Afghan interim government in a different way. But talking about the success of this new initiative of course, i-istekam, Brigadier Sahab, in your opinion, what are some of the lessons we can learn from the successes of previous operations like Azerbaijan or others that could be applied to this operation, although this is holistic and has different strategies from the previous ones? But do you think that there are some lessons learned that we can apply to this one?
Certainly, and at that time probably it was the entire administration and the people of Pakistan, they were with the security forces, and when we went for the Zarb in 2014, and it was for 2 years. About 1 million they were displaced when we talk of even Swat also, but still the people's sentiments, they were with the army, and they were basically supporting the armed forces. But unfortunately, as now we are talking of the digital terrorism, there are groups, especially in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, there is a group, they are trying, and we saw in Banu what actually happened. The march was a peaceful march. It was basically led by the traders. They were political parties, civil society. but it was ultimately taken over by a miscreants, a group of 300 to 400 people, and subsequently they motivated and they basically tried to take them towards the cantonment.
Right.
And still they went to the cantonment, and where they were involved in pelleting stones and subsequently entering and looting the RSSD.
Right. So basically, we need to counter this mob mentality as
So-
well, and digital terrorism as well.
Yeah.
But what needs to be done to develop consensus across board for the success of this holistic i-istekam initiative? Because we know that this is not only about the security, internal and external security of Pakistan, but it is important for Pakistan's economic stability as well.
Exactly, when there is a law and order situation, you will not get any foreign direct investment, and nobody is will be willing to come into invest in Pakistan. Probably it is now already the concept has been explained by the DG ISPR. He has made his efforts to clear the doubts, and now a Prime Minister has planned to call an all parties conference where they will sit together and they will discuss this issue. And basically it is the survival, it is the war of survival of Pakistan. No, we cannot ignore the developments actually happening inside Afghanistan, as Afghanistan is my view, and the international community they acknowledge the Afghanistan has become epic center, incubator of terrorists. There is not only one TTP, there are 23 terrorist organizations inside Afghanistan. 17 they are focusing on Pakistan. So the third, they have said the largest terror outfit is the TTP, which is in Afghanistan, 6,000 to 6,500. So there is a one part of this i-istekam will be strikes inside Afghanistan. If they still continue,
Which we witnessed in March as well,
yes,
of course.
we demonstrated in 18 March this month. This year, but if they continue, as we have seen the Bannu attack and previously in North Waziristan, elsewhere in DI Khan, the Pakistan has the right to strike back. We know the locations of their hideouts, the planning, where it is they are being accommodated, and we have no doubt as far as Pakistan is concerned, the Afghan Taliban, they are using them as a proxy. They have given them a free liberty inside Afghanistan, hideout. They are getting recruitment. They are being funded not only by General Directorate of Intelligence, by RAW as well. So, and they are also Afghan nationals, they are also joining. And moreover, important thing is Al Qaeda has gained strength, and basically now they are
Right. So not only Pakistan's security is
It's-
at stake from the threats emanating from
threat
Afghanistan,
is-
but global.
Yeah.
It is a global security threat. But Mr. Ali, in your opinion, what needs to be done by the international actors at this point in time when these threats emanating from Afghanistan are, of course, posing threat not only to Pakistan's security, but it is emerging as a global security threat? Right, right. Let me take the same question to Brigadier Nadir Mir. Brigadier Nadir, what's your take on this? That what needs to be done by the international actors when we talk about the threats that are emanating from Afghanistan? Of course, we know that they are posing direct threat to Pakistan, but they are a global security threat as well.
Pakistan is facing a totally new geopolitical environment, a hostile environment in which there is the two war threat, that is India on its eastern border, and which is new conventional and nuclear threat, and Afghanistan waging a total terrorist asymmetrical threat. This is the first environment that we are facing. So the response has to be, which I've actually written in papers and talked about in other programs also, that against India, Pakistan has to defend itself and also take the help of China. Against Afghanistan, because it's a terrorist threat, Pakistan can get a regional consensus and in fact a global consensus, because these terrorists are a threat to Pakistan, but they are also a threat to the Central Asian states, to Russia, to Western interests, to the Gulf, and globally also. You know what happened in 9/11. So Pakistan has a great advantage, and Pakistan should muster a global coalition by launching a global campaign against campaign, I said initially, rather than wasting this social media time on Pakistan's internal affairs, we should be launching a global campaign to defend Pakistan from terrorist threat. Pakistanis need to focus on the threat to Pakistan rather than be involved in mentally into other issues. This is what I tell students also in different universities. So Pakistan is in a favorable position to have global support against Afghanistan's terrorist threat, because it's a threat to all.
Right, of course, that is very important. But Brigadier Sir, when we talk about the challenges that earlier Mr. Ali also alluded to, when we talk about the significant role of provincial government, what challenges at this point in time we face in setting up counter-terrorism departments at the provincial level, and what needs to be done to overcome those challenges?
I was reading one of the reports, probably it was the news was carried in Express Tribune. The government of Pakistan paid about 415 billion rupees to government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and they said they don't know about the whereabout their money was spent. So that is how things are going in maybe in all the provinces of Pakistan. But unfortunately, unless you don't ensure the capacity building of your security for the law enforcing agency. Look, when we talk of the law enforcing agency, especially when we talk of a province, it is basically the police, it is the CTD, the levies, and the civil armed forces. They are responsible for the law and order situation. The Pakistan Army's main responsibility is the borders.
Right.
So that's why Pakistan Army is now looking forward for a legal cover of undertaking these operations. Now, if you equip these law enforcing agencies available to a province, if you give them good weapons, equip them with the latest weapons, communication equipment, and give them a proper training, then probably you can say okay, then they will have some capability to take on these terrorists. Terrorists, when you talk of terrorists, look, these terrorists, the TTP, they are in possession of the latest weapons left by the United States. As per the details,
of course, we have discussed it a number of times, right.
They are in possession of night vision devices, infrared fitted weapons. So they are at liberty. So that is, then second observation is from the provinces. Mostly there are reports that you don't find police at night in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa because they abandon their positions and they go back because of the threat. They are not fully equipped, they are not trained. So there is a requirement, the responsibility is with the provincial governments, whether it is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan or elsewhere, to train them, to ensure their capacity building. At the same time, in the past we have seen the army training the police and other officials. So there is a requirement, and we have to take things seriously instead of going for a political mileage taking.
Right. Thank you very much, Brigadier Retired Masood Ahmad Khan, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Syed Muhammad Ali, for joining us in today's program. Thank you very much, Brigadier Retired Nadir for joining us in today's program. Of course, in today's program, we discussed about the major takeaways from the recent presser of DG Ispr, and of course, when we talk about the success of initiatives like i-istekam, which is cornerstone for Pakistan's security as well as economic stability, the nation needs to present a united front for this. That's all from Game Changer tonight. Take care. Allah Hafiz.